Meet quality guru Perry Johnson. He's a rock-solid conservative like you and me. Perry loves statistics, motivation, quality,
perfection.
When your car door closes just right, thank Perry Johnson. When you even have a job in the American auto industry, thank Perry Johnson. American automobiles weren't always the gold standard. Perry Johnson literally wrote the book introducing ISO 9000 quality standards to the American automobile industry. Perry for president?
Can you really think of a profession more desperately in need of quality than government?
Perry says that by cutting just 2% of discretionary federal spending each year, the size of our bloated budget will soon be balanced. Watch Perry Johnson's behind-the-scenes television show every Sunday night on Newsmax. Perry Johnson is the candidate for president who can solve America's debt crisis.
I'm Perry Johnson, and I approve this message.
Hello, I'm Perry Johnson, and I'm entering the most exciting time in my entire life. I am running for President of the United States, and you're going to be running with me.
Michigan businessman Perry Johnson is running for president with a plan to save the economy. It's called 2 Cents to Save America. He's also airing a reality TV show giving voters an inside look into his campaign.
Don't make me a dog-faced lion pony soldier. All right? God save the Queen, man.
I mean, I feel bad for him, but I don't know that this is the person that we can have running the free world.
This is an announcement of a letter that my campaign has sent to every other campaign in this race, to Mike Pence, to Nikki Haley, to Perry Johnson. Pardon Donald J. Trump for these offenses in this federal case.
Well, Vivek, I saw your press conference, and I'm glad that you finally agree with me that we do need to pardon Trump.
Hello, I'm Perry Johnson, candidate for president. The weaponization of law enforcement is anti-American. President Biden must pardon President Trump.
And by the way, I got your letter, and I'm going to send you a copy of my book, 2 Cents to Save America, because I think we have to get on the same page. The government, after all, is spending too much money. And $32 trillion in debt is a lot, but they want to make it even more.
This is a time when you got to make sure you don't fall.
Just like fighting, right?
The cruise was great. I had an opportunity to talk with just about everybody there. I love the idea of mingling and talking to the people. I thought that was fantastic. Once again, I saw Vivek. We shook hands. Hey, Vivek.
How are you?
Fantastic.
How's everything going?
Excellent. How are you doing?
Yeah, doing well, doing well.
This is my son, Perry.
Hey, nice to meet you. Is Perry as well?
Yeah,
Yes.
Perry as well.
Proud of dad. That's good.
Yeah.
That's good. How old are you?
19.
19?
Yes.
It's a good age to participate in a campaign.
Yeah.
That's great. Keep up the good positive spirit. I appreciate your positivity. So
It's good.
keep that up. Yeah.
Yeah, you've done really well in the media.
It's good. Well, thanks. Appreciate it, guys. Anyway, we'll have a fun time on the cruise tonight.
We will. It will be a ball.
Nice meeting you, Perry.
Nice to meet you.
My pleasure. He gave a pretty good speech, but I don't think he likes mingling with the people that much. I think his major theme is on wokeness, and that seemed to be where he focused. Obviously, everybody that is running for president is anti-woke. So I don't know that anybody has a different attitude on wokeness than he does. We believe it's really absurd to have a situation where somebody 9 and 10 years old has transition therapy, particularly without the parents' permission. That happens to be the law in Michigan, but fortunately that is not the law in New Hampshire. What separates me from everyone is that I am truly the outsider of outsiders. I don't even think the Republicans want me in the party. I'm not kidding. They never want me on TV. They don't want me talking about it because, frankly, I think both the Democrats and the Republicans have spent too much money. It doesn't matter who it is. If we lose our status as the world currency, everyone here will have
a life-changing experience where your standard of living will go down 15% overnight. Obviously, when you're running for president, you have to keep up with the news, and my team thought it'd be a good idea to look at what's going on right now, and they want my reaction to what's going on to the various things. And we're going to start with Ray Dalio.
By some Wall Street estimates, the Treasury Department is set to issue $1.3 trillion of debt for the remainder of this year. And that's causing all sorts of concerns about market disruptions, including our next guest, who has said that we could face a potential debt crisis.
The largest amount of debt offerings and monetization of debt.
There's some concerns about liquidity issues and whether that's going to come out of bank reserves, but you're thinking much bigger about what we're facing as a country in debt.
The economics of a country are no different than the economics of an individual or a company, in that you can't spend more than you earn, can't spend more than you earn without getting into debt. And if you have debt, you have to pay back the debt. The only difference is you can print the money. That's it.
Which we do.
Which we do. And so the question is, what ends that, or is there no end to that?
Is there a day of reckoning?
Okay, there are two things that end this. First, that the debt service payments to those who are holding the debt, who need it for reward, they want to get paid back, plus an interest rate. So you have to have those debt service payments. Those debt service payments increasingly encroach on your spending. In other words, either this thing compounds, and that means that somebody's wanting to buy all that debt, but you have to pay back in one way or another, and when that happens, it encroaches on other spending. So that's debt service is one. The other big one is the supply-demand balance issue. In other words, when it happens that people don't want to buy enough debt that needs to be sold, you have the bigger crisis, a debt rollover question.
We'll have a real serious problem if we get to the point where people do not want to buy our bonds. Then we have to offer even more interest in order to get people to give us the money we need to fund. Now, obviously, we can just print money, but every time we do that, we devalue money. And you get to the point where there isn't confidence in the US dollar. We are going to increase our debt by $1.3 trillion this year. We think it's bad at $32 trillion. Well, if it gets to $33 trillion, it's going to be even worse. And keep in mind, we have to spend money for every dollar we borrow. And that interest payment right now amounts to about $610 per month per family in the United States, just because the government is spending too much of your money. I have my oldest son with me. He entered college this year. I have two 14-year-olds that are entering high school, and we are destroying their future because we are spending so much money. And I say we stop. Now, I want everyone to understand one very simple thing, and that is that everybody in Washington says it's impossible to stop the spending. No matter who you talk to, they say it's impossible. But the one thing about America is that we have a history of doing the impossible. Every time we have been in trouble, every time we've needed to act, we have. We did it because we had a fire inside us that said, we're going to make it happen. And it's that fire inside us all the time. That fire inside us that has made America the greatest country in the history of the world. And we will continue that. We will always do that. Whether you talk about Carnegie, Henry Ford, Edison, Vanderbilt, you go down the litany of things, we have said to the world, we can do it. And you know what they say? Wow. Well, we're going to do it again. And we're going to make sure this is the greatest country the world has ever known. And God bless New Hampshire, and God bless the United States of America. Thank you.
You don't look anything like I imagined you.
What did you imagine?
Well, somebody much heavier than you and a bigger head.
I do enjoy meeting the people face to face, talking to them, shaking their hands, and getting their feedback. Because my job is to try to see what I can do to give the people of New Hampshire what they want. And the only way I'm going to be able to do that is to find out firsthand what their interests are. But my message of the economy resonated. There are two basic issues in New Hampshire that I think resonate well. They believe we should have freedom. Let's keep the government out of all of our business, which of course is one of the central themes of my entire book and my entire platform. And number two, they also are very concerned with the fact that we're going broke. The idea of being $32 trillion in debt is a bit much. And the fact that each and every family is spending over $600 a month just in interest payments bothers them. It also bothers them that we have to borrow money from China just so we can pay our bills. And now we're sending China $74 million a day in interest payments.
Well, the RNC is demanding that I get 40,000 donors. Now, obviously, this is a little ridiculous because I am self-financing. Washington does not want me on that stage because I am the last person in the world they would ever want up there in Washington. After all, my goal is to cut spending, and they like their fiefdoms. Now, I'm not beholden to anyone. I don't know anyone favors. I'm just a guy that wants to get up there and make this country what it should be and continue to be the greatest country in the world. But we need my 2-cent plan. And my 2-cent plan is going to freeze the budgets in Washington and cut 2 cents out of every discretionary dollar. But in order for me to get that 2-cent plan up there, I need to get on the stage. If you donate $1, I will send you a copy of my book, 2 Cents to Save America. And I'd really appreciate it because I sure want to be on that stage.
I'm Perry Johnson, and I approve this message.
Well, we're going to win and we're going to help. We have plans to build a railroad from the Pacific all the way across the Indian Ocean. We have plans to build in Angola, one of the largest solar plants in the world. I can go on, but I'm not. I'm going off script. I'm going to get in trouble.
By the way, I suggested Biden not go off script. This is not the best move for him. Maybe it's a little more prudent to fly across the Pacific Ocean than to invest the, $1 trillion to build this railroad across the Pacific to the Indian Ocean. He's not that concerned with what's going on with our debt crisis or what's happening in Washington as we are going broke or problems at the Ukraine or China. He's more concerned about the engineering effort of building a railroad across the Pacific. Very interesting. Maybe he should have been an engineer.
Well, I have to thank Senator Ernst because she put on a tremendous show. I mean, it was beyond belief. The Roast and Ride may be one of the biggest events of the year here. It was one of the great thrills to get an opportunity to talk before such an avid group, people that really are diehard conservatives who love to do what is best for this country. Obviously, things went really, really well in the speech, and we had this thunderous applause afterwards. In fact, I don't think there was a single person that wasn't standing on their feet afterwards. And they were cheering. They're not cheering just for me, they're cheering for what is great for this country, because they all want what is best for this country. And that's one of the things that's great about being here in Iowa, because you have a group of people that do everything in their power to try to make this world a better place.
And next, we've got another great candidate, our hopeful Perry Johnson.
I am laser focused on one thing, the economy. In fact, I am the one candidate that has a plan for solving our problem. I'm going to do what I did in every company. We freeze the budget and we cut 2 cents out of every dollar of discretionary spending every year. Washington does hate me. I am the outsider of outsiders. In fact, imagine somebody coming to you and telling you that you're going to take their money away and their power away. And that's what I have. And that's why they put this ridiculous requirement of 40,000 donors to try to get you off the debate stage. But I'm going to get on that stage anyway, because I can believe that I can still do it, I'm just going to ask for 2 cents, because that's all I want, is 40,000 donors, 2 cents apiece. We went from literally 20 trillion in debt, 19.9, to 32 trillion in debt in the last 6 years. We endanger Social Security, Medicare, our defense, and our whole way of life. I want you to think of how absurd it is that we just had a plan that is still going to increase our debt more. They spent a record amount, and they want to spend more.
A surprising amount of Chinese money went to the University of Pennsylvania, while the University of Pennsylvania was paying not just Biden, but they're paying 9 members of the White House staff and the Secretary of State. A great deal of Chinese communist money went to the University of Delaware, which houses 1,850 boxes of Biden's material. Part of the secret documents that Biden had misplaced were, you can't make this up in a novel, were in Chinatown, in an office paid for by the University of Pennsylvania, which I believe basically used Chinese communist money for it. None of these billionaires were helping Hunter Biden or Joe Biden or Joe's brother without the approval of the Chinese dictatorship. It's just not possible. I think it's amazing that the press has not looked at the fact that 9 people in the White House, plus the Secretary of State, were being paid by the Penn Biden Center while the University of Pennsylvania was collecting millions and millions of dollars from the Chinese communists.
It's just exasperating. Where is the story in the New York Times about these 9 families? Where is it, please?
Sometimes you really have to question the timing of the media. Keep in mind that Trump was indicted at a time when the bribery scandal was coming out. We knew there was in the neighborhood of $5 to $10 million in bribes to the Biden family.
Joe and Hunter Biden allegedly coerced a foreign national to pay them $10 million in bribes.
Yet, there wasn't one single second talked about those bribes in the media, period. CNN did not cover it at all. MSNBC didn't cover it at all. I don't think CNBC covered it. And I say, why not? They did spend an enormous amount of time covering Trump and the indictments, but not a single second on the $10 million in bribes. Now, is that what we call a fair media? That the media doesn't like to talk about any of this bad stuff when it has to do with anybody on the left.
Can we talk a little bit about the Hunter Biden plea deal and your reaction?
My first reaction is it continues to show the two-tier system in America.
We've heard a lot about two-tiered systems of justice. Is it only equal application if Hunter Biden or President Biden is indicted as well? I mean, the charges are different, the circumstances are different.
Well, okay, that's a very good question, because the question is it equal justice? So you have one leading opponent of the current president that is now indicted, is supposed to do jail time. You have a president's son that the investigation went on for a very long time, that now has to do no jail time. But you have
people broke their plea deals.
Can I finish the answer to your question? But now you have a sitting president that's in charge of the DOJ that has the same accusations against his political opponent, where he has classified documents, but his is even worse because it goes all the way back when he was a senator. Now, none of you have ever asked me this question. As a member of Congress and a member of the Gang of Eight, can I ever remove classified documents from the SCIF? The answer is no.
McCarthy is right. We do have a two-tiered system. And it becomes flagrantly obvious when you have a situation where essentially one party gets a parking ticket for flagrant violations that they won't even disclose. And then on the other hand, with President Trump, we have a situation where he is facing 37 counts and 100 years of jail time? For what? Classified documents that he had a right to declassify at any time? Let's get real. I had called on pardoning Trump right from the beginning. In fact, I was the first candidate to ever even mention this. And it's very important that we stop using the legal system as a weaponizing tool. And let's get on with the real issues at hand. And let's pardon Trump so we can now get back to business of solving the problems facing this country.
We have a situation right now where we should have a right to teach our children whatever they want, and we can't have Washington telling us what to do. What do you say we start making America free again? Life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness. Now, I will tell you that I have a lot of people that tell me that it's impossible, that Washington is so corrupt that we can't change it. But you know what? This country has a history of doing the impossible. I want you to think about what a wonderful, amazing country we have. We started out 250 years ago with a dream that we could be a country unlike any country on the planet. And we were going to have a country by the people, for the people. We had to fight the most powerful army in the history of the world. We had to do this without guns. We had to hide our guns. We weren't trained. We had a fledgling general by the name of George Washington, and we had to go up and do the impossible. But you know what? We did it. We defeated the most powerful army in the history of the world because we have that fire inside us, a fire unlike any fire in any country in the world. I want you to think about how great this country really is, whether you talk about Carnegie, Vanderbilt, Henry Ford, Edison. We go down in history and the world looks at us and says, wow. I say, let's continue to be the greatest country the world has ever known. And God bless Iowa, and God bless the United States of America. Let's do it. Do it now. We have a great country, and we're going to keep it great. You ran in California, right?
I ran in California.
That's a tough state to run in.
Awful state to run in. Republican has not won statewide in California in 20 years. I thought maybe the recall thing might be able to do it if the ball carried him the right way. And I got 3.5 million votes. And I got the same percentage of the recall vote as did Arnold Schwarzenegger back in 2003. And since then, there are 5% more registered Democrats, 50% more registered independents, and independents in California vote Democrat, according to the New York Times. There are 33% fewer registered Republicans, yet I got the same percentage of the replacement votes as did Schwarzenegger. So as far as I'm concerned, it was a very successful run.
So yeah, what did you lose by?
It's about 3 million votes, maybe. I got 3.5 million. He got 7.
It's it's a tough road, man.
The LA Times called me the black face of white supremacy. Biden flew in, and Obama cut a commercial for him. Warren did. Bernie Sanders did. And they all said the same thing: stop Republican takeover. Nobody said Gavin Newsom doing a great job for the people of California. Just stop Republican takeover, and it worked.
A whistleblower brought to light the existence in the FBI of a report, an FD 1023, in which the informant alleges that President Biden and his family members engaged in a $5 million bribery scheme during his time as vice president. Deputy Director Abadi, is it true that the FBI has a report making those allegations?
I'm not going to comment on that, Senator. This is an area that I'm not going to get into with you, Senator. I'm not going to get further into that.
So you're stonewalling. You can't say I'm not refusing to answer your question, but I won't answer your question.
I'm going to answer within the parameters that we operate in.
Well, you have to hand it to Ted Cruz because he did go after the FBI, and they needed going after. Let's face it, when they were demanded to give evidence over to the Oversight Committee, they refused to do it.
The FBI is a great institution. When I go home to Texas, people ask me, should we abolish the FBI? Now, I tell them no, because you have heroes and patriots working for you that are catching child predators, that are catching terrorists.
I disagree with Ted in that the FBI can be saved. I know that there are a lot of people in there that do a great job, but we have too much corruption. And I think it has to be totally revamped. I do believe that it is important that we recognize that we had to do everything to get them to admit the fact that they have stuff that they will not reveal.
Senator, we will work with this committee, you and other members, to provide the information within the parameters of the process.
Will you provide the FD 1023, yes or no?
I will take that back and we will work with our
So
team.
you're not answering that. Will you provide the 17 recordings?
We will take that back and we'll work with you.
So you're not answering that either. Did you investigate in any way, shape, or form these allegations?
Senator, once again, I'm not going to comment.
So you're not going to say whether you did your job?
We do our job to the very best of our ability.
Well, not here. You're not answering a single question to the American people. And you may think this is esoteric. I promise you, millions of Americans are concerned. You know who isn't concerned? Not a single Senate Democrat. We're going to go through this whole hearing. Not one Democrat will ask a question about this. You know who else isn't concerned? The corporate media, who is joining with the Democrats in covering up this evidence. If Joe Biden is innocent, the evidence should be made public and demonstrate that he's innocent.
Let's suppose that you were going after a company and you're buying the company out, and you ask them point blank for information, and they will not give it to you. And you ask them again, and they say, well, we have processes we go through. Bottom line is, when somebody doesn't give you the information, you have to walk away because you can't trust him. And that's what we have right here. He said nothing. And that nothing says everything. I did it on the policy of disbanding the FBI and reforming it. By doing something like that, we can then feel confidence that we have an organization that we can trust, an organization designed to actually protect the American people and to be fair and honest with the American people. And that's something we desperately do need.
Some of you know I'd usually come down and say hi to all of you. They'd tell me there's a storm coming in. Is that right? Is that still the deal? As that scene in the John Wayne movie, don't make me a dog-faced lion pony soldier. All right? God save the Queen, man.
I don't know. I mean, I feel bad for him. I think we're at a point where the family should step in and say, look, we gave it a great run. Let's face it, he's been in Congress for a long time. He's now president, and obviously there are issues. I mean, I feel bad for him, but I don't know that this is the person that we can have running the free world. It's a shame.
On Taiwan, I reiterated the long-standing U.S. One China policy. That policy has not changed. It's guided by the Taiwan Relations Act, the 3 joint communiques, the 6 assurances. We do not support Taiwan independence. We remain opposed to any unilateral changes to the status quo by either side. We remain committed to meeting our responsibilities under the Taiwan Relations Act, including making sure that Taiwan has the ability to defend itself.
Well, I am confused. On the one hand, Blinken says that he supports a one China policy, which means that Taiwan really is just part of China. He then says he, in fact, supports the whole agreement that Taiwan is part of China and controlled by China. On the other hand, he says that we are going to make sure that Taiwan has defenses. Who are they defending themselves against? The United States? I don't get it.
I'm Perry Johnson, and I approve this message.